Good morning. I want to thank you as well for your participating in today's conversation. As chair of the task force, I recognize that there is a lot of hard work from my colleagues, superintendents, from the board members, from the teachers, students, and parents. All have contributed in some way, shape, or form to tackling the achievement gap. And this has been going on in a more focused and concerted way over the past 7 years. And I'm proud to be here today to provide you with the most recent update on our progress. Along with the mission that Dr. Ward reiterated for us, there are measures that the task force has identified going back to 2007, areas that we want to strategically monitor county-wide. I want to stress there is a county-wide collaborative commitment to this. The performance of our students relative to each of these measures is extremely important. They represent all of our school levels, elementary, middle, and high. And each has implications well beyond their specific grade level. Rather than keep you here all day and go through a myriad of statistical results, and there clearly are many, many numbers that could be covered, we've decided to pick 3 representative measures and show their results over a specific period of time. We believe as a task force that these numbers are as telling as the entire body of statistical work, but really focusing us today. We will share some of the data dealing with grade 3 English language arts, grade 8 algebra, and our California high school exit exam. There are success stories there, but as both Randy and Penny have suggested or indicated, much work to do. In your packet, you'll have a data chart that shows how we have done for specific students, teachers, schools, families, and communities. Each of us has that from the superintendency and board perspective. The Superintendent's Achievement Gap Task Force is providing support to districts clearly in the quest of closing, reducing, eliminating the gap. We held a forum this past September and broke, I think, all of our attendance records by having 430-plus principals, superintendents, assistant superintendents, and senior cabinet central office managers in attendance, there to study coherent systems that could close the gap for our English learners. We will hold another forum in February to continue the work, to continue the dialogue. We have collected examples from across our county of promising practices and developed a website for schools and school districts to utilize as they work on accelerating the learning of our African American, African, Latino, and English learners. We're able to provide the data to districts to support them, to focus them, all of us in the room, on individual student needs so that improvement plans are specific, relevant, and strategic. A few of our districts are engaging in other initiatives that better ensure our students meet our A to G measures of success, those prerequisites for the University of California, to ensure more of our students are prepared for college and the world of work. Now let me take you through a brief examination of some of those measures of success. First up, third grade English language arts. As measured by the California Standards Test, it is one of those measures we have added over the last 3 years. You ask why? Because it is a critical point in a child's development. It's at third grade and beyond, we have an absolute imperative that children are able to read. This is often the indicator for future success in high school. You can see from this particular chart, our achievement in third grade English language arts is as calculated by the CSTs, has continued to rise. Nearly half of our third graders are reading and writing at or above the appropriate grade level. However, while this is an overall increase from 5 years ago, performance did decline a little bit last year. This is a concern, clearly something that we want to focus on, because even though we are seeing a lot more students scoring proficient or advanced than we did 5 years ago, it falls well short of our expectations. We need to continue to bolster our students to become more independent writers, readers, and thinkers throughout the primary grades. That is the bottom line. We can look at this third grade English language arts situation in a couple of different ways, and this is just a second alternative. We continue to have more students scoring at proficient and advanced levels in third grade, as noted earlier. This time, looking at it in terms of ethnic groups, shown by the yellow bars here. You will also note that our greatest growth rate is evident for our students of color. This accelerated growth is essential if we want to continue narrowing the achievement gap. You can note, too, that African American and Hispanic growth rates are much higher than their Asian and white counterparts. However, again, despite our gains, we still have only 1/3 of our Latino and African American students achieving at grade level. In third grade reading, as I've noted earlier, a crucial milestone. And this compares to 2/3 of our white and Asian counterparts. There must be that continued concentration, action across our county, across all 42 school districts. Now, taking a look at algebra, another pivotal subject, another pivotal year, 8th grade. For several years, we have been concentrating on supporting 8th graders to take and become successful in algebra. We know that this is another gateway course for continued advancement for success in high school. Over the past 5 years, we've increased the number of students taking algebra in 8th grade. And we are also observing more and more students reaching proficiency in 8th grade algebra. In 2010, we have a 7% focus and gain with more county students scoring proficient or advanced on the CST. And that's that comparison on that chart between county and state of California. This has happened while also increasing the numbers of students taking the algebra test in 8th grade, as I noted. For example, from 2009 to 2010, we maintained the percent of students reaching proficiency while increasing the number of students taking algebra by 6%. Over half of the 8th grade students taking algebra met or exceeded the state standards, indicating they are ready to move on to higher level coursework in high school. This shows great strides by our middle school students, and we will hear from one of our successful middle schools shortly. Similar to third grade scores, we have another way of looking at algebra and improving success across all student groups. Again, with the greatest growth rate evident for our students of color, especially our African American students at 46%. This type of accelerated growth is essential if we want to see all of our students reach higher levels of performance in middle school and beyond. However, even with the accelerated growth, we have to recognize and deal with the unacceptable gap among all the student groups. At this time, what I'd like to do is introduce Brad Callahan, principal of Lewis Middle School, one of our beacons of excellence in my own school district, San Diego Unified. Brad has demonstrated continued improvement in student achievement, as well as a narrowing of the achievement gap between student groups. Lewis Middle School made enough gains over the past 2 years to exit from program improvement status. And we are extremely proud of the accomplishments of Brad, his teachers, his students, and the parents, and what they've done for Lewis Middle School. So Brad, thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and I'd like to acknowledge one of our Lewis teachers here, Mr. Steven Santana, and parents over here of DeAndre Range, and our student DeAndre, who will be up here as well, because really that's what it was about. It was about the collective efforts of everybody at Lewis Middle School. And the chart that we're looking at here, the bar graphs, show you a picture that we really did make some impressive growth. And this is not just last year. It was a combination of 3 years. Mr. Santana and I came in. Lewis Middle School was hovering around 808 on an API, just above that 800 mark that we all strive for. As of last year, we are now 879 in 3 years, and it was Sally Bennett who I kept calling and saying, I think maybe we beat the No Child Left Behind program improvement status, and she was kind enough to keep looking for us and emailed me and said, indeed you did, and yeah, thank you. Because as we know, it's almost impossible, and it's going to keep becoming more impossible. with the rise of percentage of proficiencies and the declines of our budgets, I thought I would just kind of briefly go through some of the things that we have done over the past 3 years, and I might also interject these things will not be there this year, more than likely, when I do come to them. So some of the things we did were we looked immediately at teacher collaboration. We increased the number of days that our teachers have within the workday to collaborate and work together. We increased teacher leadership. We have instructional leadership team made up of teachers of all of the different departments in our school who work very hard together. Last year, we were fortunate to have an English language support teacher who worked full-time at Lewis Middle School with English language learners. That has been reduced to half this year, and who knows if it will exist at all next year because that's working off of a grant. We detracked math in 6th grade. It used to be that kids would come in and they'd be designated, you're going in this class, you're going in this class. We did away with that. We put them all together. We let them be 6th graders. The tracking begins mostly in 7th and 8th grade. It was a wonderful change. We increased by far the mainstreaming of our special education students. We used to have mostly special day where students were secluded from other students. They are now part of the classrooms and doing really very, very well, and they just are part of the school like everybody else. We did a lot of specific targeting of what I would call gap students that Bill was addressing here. Very strategic in everything that we did. We kept thinking of, we have 4 that we always think of: special education, English language learners, African American, Hispanic. Every time we were doing something, that was at the forefront of how we would do that. Lots of data, obviously, going into consideration. Some of the basics that we tried out, going to other schools, De Portola, great idea. 3 strikes accountability. When a student doesn't do homework in their classroom 3 times in a row in any specific area, they call their parents right away. They're sent to the office, and they tell their parents, I'm sorry, I blew it. I didn't do my homework. After about 1 or 2 times of that, it usually decreases the problems with the homework coming in. School site councils and governance team tirelessly working. We always want to finish in an hour. It never happens. The increased home to school. Thank you, Bill Kowba, for giving us Connect Ed. We have the ability now to reach out to parents instantaneously through emails, through phone calls. Fantastic. We expanded our electives. Just 2 years ago, we began engineering at our school, and we again specifically targeting kids of color and ladies, young ladies in engineering, bringing in role models, more and more kids getting connected through engineering and into our high schools. And I want to thank our Program Improvement Office. At the time, Brenda Campbell was in charge, and last year with our dwindling resources, our district had a hard decision to make, and that was we do not have enough money left to do after-school tutoring for all schools. Where shall we put the money? They looked at schools that were either one step out of program improvement, which was Lewis Middle School, or going into one step in, and we put our resources there. We used that money with technology. For the first time, because of the technology in San Diego Unified Schools, not all yet, but all students are getting their netbooks in front of them. So we have abilities now to use technology, and with that, we hired a teacher for during class time where kids were pulled out of their electives. No more elective for you. You need the math and the reading, and they had dedicated time on the netbooks with something we called Learning Upgrade. Fantastic. We also targeted students after school where they received a half-hour homework assistance and the Learning Upgrade. I know that was a boost as well. So again, all of those things and many, many more. We could talk for days about all the things that have gone for 3 years, but I want to thank again our parents, our teachers, the support for the district from us, and most of all our students